Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Brandt's Brews and Other News. We are excited to be here for Volume 2 of InterBrews. I got my buddy Adam here on crew. This week for InterBrews, we interviewed Tacoma Brewing Company and owner Morgan, who's become a good friend of mine. I got to sit down with him and stop by the taproom and enjoy his awesome beer and talk about his adventure. Unfortunately, he's super busy right now and wasn't able to do a video interview, but he was able to respond to a handful of my questions, which I'll kind of relay in a general sense to you in a sec. But first, let's try one of their beers.
Let's do it.
So, this beer made by Tacoma Brewing Company is called Broken Window IPA. Got this cool shirt at the taproom too.
I like that.
So, it's nice, right? I like it too. It's nice and comfy. So, Broken Window IPA was voted the best IPA of Tacoma Beer Week 2015 and 2017. It's about 6%. It's super light, easy drinking, fruity, very tropical. Interesting. Yeah, the can's super cool. You can find this at the brewery itself or a couple local Tacoma grocery stores in 6-packs. And the cool thing about this beer, the name comes from a particularly rough time when the brewery had their windows smashed by some folks. And they ran their fists through the windows and they left a blood trail to where the police found them and arrested them. And that says it right here on the can.
Is that why it's like that?
Yeah. So that's a pretty crazy story. I'm glad they're doing a lot better. And yeah, it's a cool story behind the title. Let's give it a shot.
Okay.
Sorry. There we go. Okay. Yes, very light, very crisp, very tropical. What do you think?
It's actually pretty good. No, I like that.
It is good.
It's I don't know how to describe a beer.
It's fruity though.
Yeah.
Tropical.
Definitely tropical.
For an IPA, I'm an IPA guy by trade. This beer is very floral, but not super intense like a lot of West Coast IPAs. One of the questions we'll get to later, Morgan said this is by far their most popular beer and why they continue to can it and serve it. It's for people who like kind of floral or fruity things, but nothing super hoppy or intense or malty. This is a good way to go. Again, voted best IPA in Tacoma Beer Week past couple years. Give it a shot if you find it, or if you're in the area. Tacoma Brewing Company is open Friday and Saturday only each week, from 4 to 9 p.m. on Friday and to 2 to 9 on Saturday. So swing by. Morgan will be there. He's the head brewer and the main taproom guy. Say hi. Try what he's got. You'll love it. Broken Window IPA.
Cheers.
All right, so the following is what Morgan relayed to me from the questions for the interview. Again, I appreciate his time and willingness to work with us. He runs the taproom and brews the beer, so he's a very busy man. So, Tacoma Brewing Company was formed 6 years ago in downtown Tacoma in this historical brewing district. It's kind of tucked away in an alley. He formed that before the whole craft beer boom took off, and so he's become a staple in the area. He's been doing a great job, even being open 2 days a week. People are always there and buying his beer locally, which is really cool. Morgan said his main focus as a brewer is to specify the flavor and the aroma of the beers to really help separate his stuff from the other breweries around the area. Beers that go down easy, have some innovative recipes, like they've got some really unique ginger ales that are like 15% alcohol. He's got a wood-aged Brett beer, which is super unique, and even a coffee IPA, which is two things you really don't run into very often, but it's super good and something you won't see. His main goal with the business is to just keep it moving forward. Like any small business, they're super tiny, but just keep on keeping on, making it bigger, spreading the word, growing a little bit, getting the good word of their good beer out there to everyone else, which is awesome. And he's been brewing since high school. And he said he started by dumping baker's yeast into apple juice, which he said tasted absolutely horrible. Which
surprise.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. But it's cool because Morgan used to run a coffee shop before he opened Tacoma Brewing Company, and he started brewing his beer at the coffee shop. He said it got just absolutely insane running both, so he chose to do commercial beer instead of coffee, and it's been working out for him ever since. He brought some of his recipes to local taverns and bar owners. They were really encouraging, and that's what inspired him to really take off with the beer. And if you try it, you'll agree that it's absolutely awesome. His most popular beer, which we mentioned earlier, is this guy right here, the Broken Window IPA. For its easy drinking abilities, the tropical notes, the low bitterness, and just being part of the IPA craze in the Pacific Northwest. They've got a red ale, they've got a pale, a coffee IPA, a couple double IPAs, some Brandt aged stuff. Everything is unique, but very unique and tastes different than the other beers they have on tap there. Morgan also said that people usually stop by because they've heard of us through a beer app or Google or word of mouth. Being as they're only open 2 days a week, they really have to do something to get people to show up when they're open. So being in Tacoma, there's a ton of breweries, and a lot of people nowadays have been bit by the craft beer bug, which is I definitely have, and that's what he says too. And so people just want to try new places, and it's kind of tucked away, which is super cool. And it's a really unique spot. So if you find him, want to search him out, definitely stop by. Super cool tap room, big area that he's got arcade games, and he plays killer vinyl records from the Beatles, Rolling Stones, a bunch of vintage music, which is really cool. He also runs the tap room with his business partner. It's just those two guys. They do a really great job. They're really personable. They obviously know about the beer because they both brew it. They've been around for a long time. They love music. They play great vinyl records, like I was saying. Every time I'm there, it's either Rolling Stones or Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd or the Beatles, stuff I grew up listening to with Dave over here. And it feels really like you're in someone's basement or personal area, which is a lot of fun.
It's crazy.
In addition to the personalized tap room and his uniqueness with the beer, they also distribute on their own. They self-distribute, which he says has its advantages and disadvantages. I mentioned earlier they have 6-packs of this guy, Broken Window IPA, and Moe's Pale Ale in local Tacoma grocery stores, and at the brewery as well that you can purchase. But they also try and get it into local bars, so people can buy it on tap. If people show up and haven't seen it before, they probably want to try it. So one thing he said that's kind of a disadvantage is a lot of bar owners don't necessarily care too much as to what kind of beer they serve or care too much about the craft beer. So he's really got to work hard to convince them to put his on tap and explain why it would sell and get them on board with that. So that's really interesting to hear. And one thing he wanted to share with his patrons and people who haven't necessarily been to his brewery before is they're working on adding cider to their rotation. Right now they just brew beer, but they're working on brewing a cider of their own, which is going to be super cool. The cider game has really blown up as well, especially in the Pacific Northwest. You can find a bunch of Oregon ciders and Washington ciders in bars and tap rooms around the area, much more so now than before. So he's trying to jump on that train and really bring that demographic into the beer demographic as well. So again, every Friday and Saturday, Tacoma Brewing Company, check them out. They're wonderful. Morgan's such a nice guy. He plays great music. They have live music once a month, and he's just doing what he loves to do and just trying to spread the good word. So if you're in downtown Tacoma, stop by Tacoma Brewing Company. I'd recommend trying Broken Window first. If you're an IPA drinker, if you're not an IPA drinker, try Moe's Pale Ale or the Renewal Red. Everything on tap is delicious and well priced, and you'll have a great time there. So shout out to Morgan and Tacoma Brewing Company. We appreciate you guys very much. Go stop by, check them out on Facebook and all the medias, and go say hey. You won't regret it. Cheers.